Welcome back to the channel, Bridging the Gap Student to Engineer, where STEM professionals provide advice to students. This video is going to go into the student outcome data for Carnegie Mellon University. They give us a little bit of ability to dig into the data, so we'll do some of that. If you want to do more than is done in the data, I will provide the link in the video description, so let's just get right into it. The Carnegie Mellon University makes their data available through the Career and Professional Development Center. They call it post-graduation outcomes, also first destination outcomes. So what they've done here is they've done a survey of students like pretty much all of the other schools that we're looking at. And they've provided it here on a dynamic way so that we can filter and those kind of things. What I've already done is filter for the most recent grad year, bachelor's, and a College of Engineering. If you are interested and you know where your student is going to be going as far as a major, you can go in here and click to that specific major and get more details. So what we can see pretty quickly off the bat is that Carnegie Mellon University College of Engineering students go to continue their education more often than they go directly into the workforce. I think this is the first time I've seen a engineering school that has that kind of mix. It's interesting to me. I do know that CMU boasts about the research opportunities in their undergrad, so that may have something to do with it. But it is very interesting that of the students who replied to the survey, more of them are continuing their education. And then if we just look at the seeking number, which is really the only negative category that we have here, 3% are still either looking for work or looking for education 6 months after graduation. So that's a really respectable 97% of positive outcomes. That's good to see and something that we'd like to see in a lot of the universities that we are looking at. Okay, when we get to salary, the median, I'll just go with the median, is $90,000. You'll see that the number reported is not nearly as high as the number that are reporting just basic information, but it still should be statistically significant. So the median is 90,000. That's actually higher than we see a lot in engineering schools. But if we were to do the mode, which is the most often is in the $80,000 range. So I would say that they're on par, maybe a little bit higher than typical engineering schools, but I'm also looking at where the industries and the job titles that these engineers are going into, and I think that it can really explain some of these higher salaries that we're seeing. We'll get into that when we get into the bottom section here. So they provide information on locations with this map. The size of the circle indicates the number of grads from 2023 that had their first job in these locations. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scroll over some of these and just talk a little bit about it. So grads from CMU in 2023 from the College of Engineering, 12 of them that reported information went to the Boston area. You can see in this description, it does include several of the outlining towns, but it's still that general area. The median income for those students on their first job is $85,000. So just hold that and let's go to the next one. We scroll over to New York City. We see there are slightly more grads that reported information there. The median income is significantly higher to go with the cost of living here, but as you can see, there's surrounding towns and cities that are included in that. And then I'll just scroll through some of these so you can see DC has about the same number as New York, the lower median income. Pittsburgh, definitely significantly lower in income. And when you look at the income of all of these metropolitan areas, you can kind of see why we would have the distribution over there on the left. The median in San Francisco is 122. That is actually what we've been seeing in other colleges. LA, lower than that, but definitely higher than some of those cities on the East Coast, and really high in Washington, which is interesting to me. So a lot of these smaller circles don't have enough data to report, so you can't really get a lot more out of them. But just something to be aware of, that grads from this school do go to a lot of places. They go to a lot of big cities, like grads from a lot of other schools. So if we go down to the industries, internet and software is the highest. You can see that we've got Amazon hiring a lot of people and then software engineers. These kind of like all go together. So just something to be aware of, not good nor bad. But I do want to point out a few other things in the industries section over here. So aerospace is something that we see nearly none in some schools and has a significant presence in others. So CMU looks like it's got a presence of aerospace. If you are interested in aerospace and you want to go to CMU, it's probably a good place to get you into that industry. And even if they don't have a aerospace engineering major, you can absolutely get into aerospace by majoring in mechanical or any of a number of other civil engineering disciplines. And then electronic and computer hardware. This just shows that there's an emphasis on computers specifically. Management consulting is an interesting one that we saw pretty high at University of Pennsylvania, and there are a few other schools that have a lot of grads going into management consulting. You don't really major in management consulting. It's something that you go into if you're looking for a high stress job with high pay right out of school, or maybe a good way to get into a big city that you're looking for. So there's a couple motivators for people to go into that. There are people who go through school and then get to the end and realize they are not interested in doing exactly what they learned in school. This is one of the ways that people have a successful career with a variety of majors. So civil engineering is a good one, just indicating that they do have a civil engineering program and that there are civil engineering firms that hire grads. All right, so I'm not going to go through the rest of these. I'll just scroll so you can see what is here. One thing that is interesting is defense is only one person. Once you get into these one-offs, it's really hard to tell that if there's any focus on that industry at the school. There probably is not, because they're not hiring a number of grads. So next we'll look at the employers section. What I typically like to see in employers is I like to see a large number of companies that hire a large number of graduates from a school. What this indicates is that these companies have good relationships with the school. They like the grads there. They're going to be there recruiting. They're looking for you as a graduate, and you don't have to put in quite as much effort to get a job. So if we look at just what we can see on the screen before we scroll down, Amazon is the biggest employer, almost double the second one. That's an interesting one. Amazon hires a lot of engineering grads to be supervisors on their floors, and quite a number of other jobs. But it is an interesting thing to think about, going to work for Amazon. If you are interested in that, definitely check it out. We go to the next one. Deloitte is a consulting firm, and as is Accenture farther down. We did see that in the management consulting numbers on the left. And then Apple Consumer Products, Lockheed Martin, and SpaceX are in the space and defense industry. And then WSP is engineering, procurement, and construction company. They do a lot of design for highways and those kind of things. So I'm just going to scroll through here so you can see. What I am seeing is a lot of companies that don't have very many students that they're hiring. Of course, Amazon is listed a few different times, as they are often in these. And then it looks like um, once we get to the ones, they're all just listed in alphabetical order, so you can kind of see what's here. Typically, if there's just one grad that a company is hiring, it's because that grad has reached out to them. CMU doesn't give us any data about how the students got connected to these schools, so it's a little bit hard to tell. But if a company is trying to recruit from a school and they continue to just get one grad a year, then they're probably going to stop coming. So it's really good to focus on what these top employers are, and are they things that you're interested in doing in the future. Again, if you use the link, you can go and filter by major and then look at what your specific major and where those people go. That's a good tool. So the next thing I'm going to go to is the undergrad summer internships and research. I've already clicked on over here and done the filters that I want, but it is important to look at where summer internships are, what kind of experiences students are getting while they're in school. Carnegie Mellon does not tell us the number of students that actually have the experience, the number of students that are working in internships each summer, all of those types of things. So it's really just about the students who are actually in an internship and what data they're providing. It does talk about internships reported, but again, that's reported, not actual. So I like to see when schools share the percent of students that get experience. So let's just start on the left at the top. So top employers, Lockheed, Apple, some of these companies are the ones that we're seeing employing graduates. Some that we didn't see, Nucor, they are a steel company. They pioneered the recycling of steel. So they have sites all over the country. Caterpillar, Kimley Horn, Milwaukee Tool, a lot of these we didn't see in the hiring of grads. So it seems that with CMU students and grads, there are a lot of different companies interested, but definitely look through the different lists and see if there's anything that you're interested in. For ones that you may not be familiar with, do a quick Google search, look on Wikipedia, and you can get some information. Okay, the internship titles really are all over the place typically, so I'm not super interested in them. There are a couple things that are interesting, R&D and research, pretty much the same thing. So if you're getting an internship researching, that's something that's not typically super common in engineering. So it is interesting that it shows up here. So this internship pay section is good to see. A lot of schools will tell you what their interns are making, and usually those are in the low 20s. But what CMU is telling you here is that yet the students that are right out of their freshman year are making low 20s, but from there all the way up to the summer before senior year, students are making $30 an hour. If you're looking at offsetting the cost of tuition or return on investment or something like that, definitely consider how much you could be making during your summers or even during the school year if you have some relationship with the employers. Often interns will be able to work through the school year if the employer is interested, has work, and especially if the student is local, it's a little bit easier to do that. But one thing to note, again, is this number of reports. So this, again, is number of reports, is not actual people interning, but you'll see there's a pretty big drop in numbers for interns after their freshman year. A lot of companies will hire engineering interns right out of their freshman year. A lot will not. So if you are looking at assuming that you're going to make a certain amount of money every summer or those kind of things, it might be prudent to assume that you won't have an internship out of your freshman year, but that your likelihood of getting one is stronger later in your career. And one thing to note about internships is that a lot of companies hire at the beginning of the school year. So if you're a freshman, you're just starting college, go to that first career fair that's held in October. Go talk to employers, ask if they hire interns out of their freshman year. Have a resume ready, and understand that if you are going to be among this small number of students that have an internship after the freshman year, you need to pursue that and make your own way into that and go to career fairs. Okay, so I'm going to go down to internship locations. This is even more broad than what we saw in the grad locations, but it is really good to see. We can see that that interns are pretty much all over the country, and that's really good. Summer interns are a really good way to test out a new location. If you've always lived in a certain place and you want to go see if you'd like to live in a different area of the country, an internship is a really good way to do that without a lot of commitment. You may have to work out the financial part of that, and if you were planning on saving all that money for your school, you may have to get a little creative in how you can live inexpensively to be able to save as much money as possible. So one nice thing about this dynamic dashboard is that you can scroll over here as I'm doing and see where all the internships are. What companies are hiring where. Nucor keeps showing up everywhere. So that if you are interested in going to Pennsylvania, for example, or staying in Pennsylvania, I should say, you can see what companies have hired interns in the last year. And if you want to expand a little bit beyond the last year and look at the last few years, you can do that with this dashboard. Okay, so we did talk about companies hiring interns early in the year. I said that you should go to a career fair in October. Definitely do that. You'll see here that there are people, and a lot of people, who are getting their internship offers in the spring semester, but definitely try early on and see if you can get something earlier. So that's a little bit of scratching the surface with the data that Carnegie Mellon University makes available to us. If you want to see more, absolutely go to the description for this video for the link and click around yourself. If you do have any more questions, please leave a comment, and we will get back with you. Until next time.